Hello and welcome to Network. My name is Phumelele Zondi with your technology and social media news. SABC Network on Facebook, X and Instagram. Use Network at sabc.co.za on email. This week our expo is asking you about your use of AI, or if you understand it at all, as it's been a big buzzword in the year 2023. Results of that are coming up later in the program. Here's what's coming up in this episode. We continue to look at those technologies that can assist as we observe 16 days of no violence against women and children. We have details on how tech can help you as you book your spaces for the holiday season. And in our conversation, we chat about those uses for tech in the SMME space. As you book those spaces for the holiday season, technology now plays a critical role in how we holiday.
December is peak travel season in South Africa, and most places are booked out to capacity. Securing travel arrangements during the festive break is often a costly affair. The Airbnb Africa Travel Summit 2023 brought together policymakers and tourism experts to explore, innovate and collaborate on building an inclusive and sustainable tourism industry across Africa.
Our economic impact report, which said that we doubled our contribution to GDP since 2019, 23 million rand to the South African economy, 50,000 jobs. And for us, what was really key on that is that actually it was South Africans driving that growth. So South Africans traveling often to some of the kind of more remote places across the country, but also an opportunity for South Africans to make additional income through hosting.
Many people will be looking at ways to cut costs while vacationing. Flying versus driving is one factor people could save on. Driving is more cost-effective than flying when not traveling alone. Costing is one of the important issues the summit zoomed into, finding ways to empower people and drive economic growth across the continent.
So South Africans in 2022 earned 4 billion rand from hosting on Airbnb, which is really important because actually 50% of our hosts say they're doing this because they want to make ends meet and meet the rising cost of living. So for us, it was like, we've had this incredible success in South Africa. How can we scale that across the continent?
Leaders in the travel industry took to the stage, including founder and managing director of Zulu Nomad, Phakamile Hlazo. Her tourism startup offers curated travel experiences in Southern Africa and employs a small team of full-time staff in South Africa and Mozambique.
There's so much to do in our rural areas. There's so much to do and see in our townships. It's not that there isn't the product is there. Exceptional hosts are there. Communities are there ready to host us. The biggest gap is that digital access. It's that access to market for these communities and these entrepreneurs in these communities.
Her skillful use of social media won some destinations much attention online. COVID-19 also played a huge role in the business's usage of technology and upskilling her vendors and business partners. She learned how technology could help support the recovery of tourism post-pandemic.
We want to help fellow entrepreneurs in these communities be able to formalize and make the most of the tourism assets around them and bring the traveler closer to them. Because a lot of the time they're sitting in these places, they don't know where the tourist comes from. They're kind of on the periphery of the traditional tourism value chain. They'll wait for the big companies to bring the tourists. They have no way of connecting directly with a traveler coming from Joburg or coming from Germany, right? So when COVID hit, in fact, by the time COVID hit, it was already in the back of our minds to say, how do we connect travelers looking for authentic immersive experiences with the suppliers that we knew are already there.
Some of the speakers were scientists, energy engineering expert and entrepreneur Siyabulela Kluza, actress, model and advocate for empowerment Zozibini Tunzi, and the beneficiaries of the upskilling program by Airbnb.
So I started as a host, and I'm now a facilitator. On top of that, I'm a super host. So being a part of the academy actually changed my life in a very big way.
To be part of the academy, it has changed my life because I was able to empower my community through the experiences. I was able to uplift, train young people to be also part of the experiences whereby they went to do a tour guide, and also bringing support to different NGOs around my community.
Airbnb was started in 2007 when two hosts welcomed 3 guests to their San Francisco home, and has since grown to over 4 million hosts who have welcomed over 1.5 billion guest arrivals in almost every country across the globe.
All over the media, we've been talking about the serious scourge that we have in South Africa, and that's the scourge of violence against women and children. And as we observe for 16 days of activism against GBV, we're taking a look at some of the technologies that can help us fight this problem.
In a country grappling with the alarming rise in gender-based violence and femicide, innovators in the tech space are stepping up to help in the fight against this pandemic. In commemorating the 16 days of activism in South Africa, we at Network zoom into some notable tech innovations that promise to help curb the scourge, and the Chomi chatbot is one such.
One of the solutions that are tech-based, we've developed in-house as Shout. It's called Chomi, which is effectively a friend. We call that chatbot. It's a GBV support chatbot that is available in 4 South African languages, isiZulu, isiXhosa, Setswana, as well as English. And this is allowing victims or individuals, actually general public, actually to access information around GBV, what it is, because sometimes we don't call it GBV. You call it GBV and we assume everybody understands, but what are the different forms of gender-based violence? What does it take form? So it's frequently asked questions. We also give them an opportunity to link up to services if they need to, connect to a human if they need to. So while it is tech-based and WhatsApp-based, they can self-navigate through the different content streams. And also we are able to provide emergency support depending on their geography, and be able to link them to the hotline services that are available 24/7 across the country.
The Iris and Afritex GBV apps enable sending alerts by a simple touch on your smartphone or by shaking it.
So Iris has 4 main states: green, amber, red, blue. Green, as we know, is safety, amber is caution, red is danger, and blue represents private security. Now, if you simply shake the phone, it means you are cautious, and it starts audio streaming. So it switches on your mic and it starts streaming everything it hears to the cloud in real time. Very discreet. I could activate it right now without you even realizing it. Red will then switch on your camera, streams everything to 5 guardians at the same time as saving it on the cloud and sending your location. You just pressed 1 button, you did all that. Then the final one is blue. Blue will dispatch private security to your location in 5 to 8 minutes in urban areas, while it is streaming to your guardians, sending your location out, saving evidence on the cloud. Cannot be destroyed because the evidence is not localized on the phone. It goes straight through to the cloud.
Where we found the game-changing benefit of the app, and linked to it is an independent panic button, is that in an instant you are able to alert an infinite number of your trusted circle. So you could have 5 or 5,000 or 5 million. It really depends on how many people you want to add to your trusted circle. In an instant, when you initiate the panic, they are instantaneously alerted to your panic, which also then gives your live location, your contact details, and other relevant information. Now, why we felt that the trusted circle is very key in the situation is, yes, there are obviously NGOs and authorities that can respond, but those that are near and dear to you are going to respond far more swiftly and far more be involved emotionally in assisting you. Not that I'm saying the authorities are not involved, but obviously it's less emotional for them. They go through a lot of these all the time, and NGOs, so after a while, I think it would be harsh for me to say they become desensitized, but I think it's more frequent, whereas for you and your loved ones, you're going to immediately want to react and respond.
The fight against gender-based violence and femicide is far from over. But technological advancements such as these ones aim to bring a renewed sense of hope and empowerment.
Cities of the future have seamless public transports that use technology for them to move around, and they also have automation all over the place. And smart cities have been a big conversation in South Africa. That conversation is starting in Zimbabwe as well.
Zimbabwe's government is proud of its smart city project. They are calling it Zim Cyber City. They say villa apartments will soon be going up and economic zone will use blockchain and digital assets.
We have already launched somewhat Zim Cyber City in Zim in Harare, but we are taking it across the world because we think it is a product that should be available to everybody around the world. When you look at the mixed use design of the city, it brings you residential, it brings you commercial value, and most importantly for sub-Saharan Africa, co-location services, blockchain and your fintech. So your digital assets and everything that you probably would be looking for in any part of the world, really.
Eventually, the plan for Zim Cyber City is to build upmarket residential areas, shopping malls, modern offices, and information technology hubs.
From a residential point of view, to have a facility where you can live in without worrying about the everyday things that we worry about as Africans, in particular, an uninterrupted power supply.
Those in the industry say smart cities offer a multitude of advantages for both government and residents. They use technology to improve the efficiency of a city and the lives of its residents.
One of the things we want to do as a smart city is bring our residents into the solutioning for the city. We are officials, we have day-to-day challenges that we're trying to stay ahead of, but really on the ground is where new thoughts, new ideas are coming from. It's going to be coming from our citizens, our population, our small businesses, and we're really trying to, as I said, talking about a smart economy, how do we support those businesses so that we can start evolving into a smart economy, but at the same time solving problems that are really major challenges.
The concept is not unique to Zimbabwe. Around the world, old cities are being upgraded. During his State of the Nation address in 2021, President Cyril Ramaphosa announced the construction of a new smart city in Lanseria.
The Lanseria Smart City, the first new city to be built in a democratic South Africa, is now a reality in the making. The draft master plan for this smart city, which will become home to between 350,000 to 500,000 people within the next decade, was completed in November 2020 and is now out for public comment.
The first phase of the project is well underway, with 546 residential apartments due for completion in 2024.
This is something that has been almost where you tip your toe in the water, and I think now that Mr. Milk has got the idea of what Africa's about and where it's going and the interest that we're getting, that I think it might be something that gets extended into other parts of Africa, and South Africa being one of the financial hubs, I think it is something of interest to keep building and keep doing. And I think this will be the first of quite a few ventures.
Thabo Mhlongo's Ishanana Holdings is involved in the construction of this city.
You are able to access, your Wi-Fi 24 hours. You are able to have a house that is smart within today's technology that is available. So what makes it easier is when you're starting from scratch.
Zim government partnered with Dubai-based company Malk International. Industry experts say the future holds endless possibilities for African cities as they continue to embrace smart technologies and create sustainable, efficient, and inclusive urban environments.
SABC Network on Facebook, X, and Instagram. It's news network at sabc.co.za. On email. After the break, we chat about how SMMEs can be assisted by technology. SABC Network on Facebook, X, and Instagram. It's news network at sabc.co.za. On email. Now, it's been said over and over again that South Africa's youth unemployment rate is sitting at a staggering almost 60%. Now, this is really, really high. And what's also been said repeatedly is that maybe young people need to start small businesses, and those small businesses can help create further jobs because they would then be employing other young people to work for them, and this can possibly reduce the unemployment rate in South Africa. Now, data and technology have said to be the new oil. What could possibly solve this issue is if young people got into technology businesses and found a part of this new oil that we often talk about. Now, to talk to us about some of these issues is the ICT Chambers Managing Director, Loyiso Jika. Thank you very much for being a part of our network, sir. Maybe if we can start by explaining how SMMEs or getting into the small business sector can actually help reduce South Africa's high unemployment rate.
We were recognized by the Empire Foundation in partnership with the Department of Science and Innovation for a lifetime award for the work that we do in terms of empowerment in the industry and transformation of the industry, bringing people from previously disadvantaged backgrounds to be able to participate in the digital in this digital economy. And yeah, we're quite excited about that. We're excited about the recognition.
With that being said, can just about anyone gain these tech skills, and how easy is it to upskill oneself?
Look, I think there's one thing about South Africa. From a policy, from the laws that we have, and to some extent certain programs from paper, they tend to be very good. So if you look at the number of papers that we have, the white paper that comes from the STI white paper from the Department of Science and Innovation, the recent document that came out of the Department of Small Business and others, we tend to have very good documents when it comes to policy directives and what we intend to do.
Which areas are the most critical in South Africa, and do bodies like the ICT SMME Chamber assist in this?
What is clear, if we're looking at research, whether you're talking about Gardner and all the other research institutions, is that the truth is we don't know what are the future skills. We can sort of predict which skills are going to be required in the future. But what's important about the fourth industrial revolution is that there is agility within the skill space. What is fresh now might not be fresh within the year or two.
What is the ICT SMME Chamber?
So the ICT SMME Chamber is a chamber of small businesses within the ICT sector. And what we really do is we advocate for the development of these small businesses so that they can thrive in the economy and create jobs. So there's two obviously elements to it. One is the economic growth, which we believe is in South Africa is dependent on the ability of SMMEs taking their rightful place. In fact, every study you can think of, every policy document that has come out of government.
Who should provide this training that's needed here?
Government has obviously the biggest role, but where government needs support, civil society, like organizations like the Chamber need to support government because they need to organize, because if these entities are not organized, then you might not have the best information coming into government in terms of how they can be supported. So as much as government, private sector, meaning the big companies, they have a role in this. In fact, if you look at the ESG, the social part of ESG puts a lot of responsibility on big companies to support the issues of social impact. They also have a role to play. But in order for that to happen in a fair manner, you would then need civil society that would organize these small organizations, and the chamber is such.
Would you say South Africa has the right expertise to perhaps help people stay in the country and retain those tech skills? Because we do hear that there are countries all over the world that are poaching South Africans, especially those with the tech skills.
Together with government and civil society, we need to coordinate. So when we go there and we put internet, other government entities or programs in that area should then come in to say, now that you can have internet, you can have 1, 2, 3. You can be able to have a localized Uber app. You can use this and this and this, and that comes with training, but not just with training, but with coordination of all the programs. So that's really what we're looking at. Hence I said we look at the entire value chain and we see how we can coordinate that to ensure that the end result is somebody being employed or somebody being able to run a sustainable business.
All right, thank you very much for being a part of our network. That is Loyiso Tjecha, who is the ICT SMME Chambers Managing Director there, joining us to talk about that high youth unemployment rate and how it can be resolved in South Africa and the role that the ICT SMME Chamber plays in all of that. It is SABC Network on Facebook, X and Instagram. It's News Network at sabc.co.za on email. Stay with us. SABC Network on Facebook, X and Instagram. Welcome back. Here's what else took place in the rest of the world in the tech space.
Sam Altman, the just ousted CEO of OpenAI, is discussing a possible return to the company behind the ChatGPT bot, a person briefed on the matter last week. And that's even as, they said, he discusses with some core OpenAI researchers and others loyal to him how they could start a new AI company. The person, who asked not to be named, said the situation remains fluid, with the prospect of Altman's return to OpenAI still uncertain. And now in France. Biotech company Interstellar Labs proposes a bold response to climate change, a spaceship-style pod that can grow plants efficiently and eventually be deployed to Mars. The Paris and Los Angeles-based company has designed a controlled environment capsule system that could one day allow crops to be grown in space.
Biopod is like a super advanced greenhouse that will collect CO2 from the atmosphere, recycle the water, fully optimize the conditions. So not only we will accelerate plant growth, but more specifically will trigger the production of specific molecule inside the plant. When you do that, you use less resources, you have less impact, CO2 impact on buying flowers from another country, bringing it to another country, make the extraction. So it's trying to give a tool for farmers to relocalize production, and by this very large range of climate that we can do, then allowing them to grow plants they usually cannot grow.
But the imperative for self-contained, low-waste food production requiring minimal resources has become more pronounced as NASA sets its sights on returning astronauts to the moon and eventual human exploration of Mars and beyond. Interstellar Labs also recently signed a partnership with L'Oreal Green Sciences in the hopes of using the biopod to develop a sustainable source of plants and to reduce the carbon footprint for transportation. More than 1,000 workers at Amazon's warehouse in Coventry, England, began a strike last week, according to union GMB, as part of a long-running dispute over pay. Trade unionists are also organizing a demonstration at Amazon's UK headquarters in London. An Amazon UK spokesperson said the strike would not cause any disruption. Amazon's parcel lockers are also being targeted. Many Amazon shoppers use its lockers, which are located in train stations, supermarket car parks, and street corners to receive their orders.
AI has been a big conversation in the year 2023. This week, our expo is asking about your uses of AI, or if you understand it at all. And that's it. That's all we have for you. Find us on SABC Network on Facebook, X, and Instagram. It's newsnetwork at sabc.co.za, on email. From me, as Pumela Lezondi and the rest of the network team. Have a good one. Bye-bye.